Small talk. Just hearing the phrase is enough to make some people tense up. If you're an introvert, you know the feeling well. Your heart rate picks up, your palms sweat, and your mind races to come up with something, anything to say when you're suddenly face to face with someone new. You want to connect, you want to belong, but the moment small talk begins, it feels like a spotlight is on you, and the pressure to perform becomes overwhelming. It's tempting to avoid it altogether, to pull back, to retreat into silence. And for years, maybe you've told yourself, I'm just not good at this, or I'm not built for conversations. But here's the truth. Small talk isn't meaningless chatter. It isn't fake. It isn't a waste of time. Small talk is a bridge. It's the way humans test safety, signal openness, and prepare for deeper connection. Just like athletes warm up before a game, people warm up with small talk before opening their lives to you. Without it, connections stall before they even begin. With it, doors open to friendships, to opportunities, to trust. And the good news? Small talk isn't a talent you're either born with or without. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. In this video, you're going to discover practical strategies taken from the art of small talk, broken down into simple, actionable steps designed specifically for introverts. These aren't cheesy one-liners or robotic scripts. They are tools you can use right away to feel more comfortable in your own skin, to ease into conversations naturally, and to build confidence that carries into every part of your life. Think about it. How many opportunities have slipped by because you avoided a conversation? How many friendships never started because you didn't know what to say? How many times have you wished you could rewind a moment and just break the silence? This video is here to change that. By the end, you'll know how to reframe the way you see small talk, how to handle the first few seconds with confidence, how to keep conversations flowing without pressure, and how to turn brief exchanges into meaningful connections. Small talk isn't about being the most interesting person in the room. It's about being present, curious, and willing to connect. And once you shift your mindset, you'll realize that as an introvert, you actually have an advantage, because small talk done right isn't about talking nonstop. It's about listening, guiding, and making others feel comfortable. That's something introverts are naturally great at. So let's begin this journey. Take a breath, release the pressure, and get ready to see small talk in a new light. Because what feels like your biggest weakness right now can become one of your greatest strengths.
Small talk has been given a bad reputation. People call it shallow, pointless, or even fake. Introverts especially see it as a hurdle, something to endure rather than something to enjoy. But here's the shift that changes everything. Small talk is not meaningless, it is meaningful in disguise. It is not the end goal, but the doorway. Think of it as the social equivalent of a handshake, a nod, or a smile. It may not reveal the depths of your soul, but it signals, I'm safe, I'm open, I'm here to connect. And that signal is what makes deeper conversations possible. When you reframe small talk in this way, the anxiety begins to fade. Instead of dreading it as a test of your wit, you begin to see it as a ritual, a shared dance that everyone already knows the steps to. Just as you don't criticize a warm-up before a workout, you don't dismiss small talk before a meaningful exchange. It's preparation. It's the stretch before the marathon. Without it, both people stay stiff and guarded. With it, both relax, open up, and step into trust. For introverts, this reframe is vital. If you believe small talk is fake, you'll always feel like you're betraying yourself when you attempt it. If you believe small talk is pointless, you'll never invest the energy to improve. But when you believe small talk is purposeful, you start to treat it as a tool to reduce tension, to create comfort, and to show your authentic presence. The pressure to be impressive disappears because the goal isn't to impress, it's simply to connect. Imagine walking into a gathering. Instead of telling yourself, "I hate this, I'll never know what to say," you tell yourself, "This is just the opening chapter." Small talk isn't about brilliance, it's about building a bridge. That one thought changes your body language, your tone, and your willingness to engage. People sense it, and they respond with ease. Let's make it even clearer with an example. Two strangers meet at a bus stop. One says, "Cold today, isn't it?" The other replies, "Yeah, I wasn't expecting this kind of wind." On the surface, it seems empty, but beneath it, something important is happening. Both are signaling friendliness. Both are testing the waters. Both are saying, "I see you. I'm not a threat." That may never grow into friendship, but it could. And it certainly builds a moment of human warmth that would have been lost if both stayed silent. That's the hidden power of small talk. Think about how many relationships start this way. A career opportunity born from a passing comment at a conference. A friendship sparked by a casual chat in a cafe line. Even deep love stories often start with an awkward, ordinary exchange. "Hi, I'm new here." Small talk is the soil from which bigger things grow. So instead of seeing small talk as something to fear, see it as something to embrace. It is not fake, it is functional. It is not meaningless, it is meaningful in its purpose. When you hold that reframe in your mind, the anxiety softens because you no longer feel like you're being judged on your ability to deliver a perfect line. You realize you're simply participating in a universal ritual, one that everyone, even the most confident extroverts, leans on every single day. This is your starting point. Small talk is not the problem. The way you think about it is. Change the frame, and the conversation changes with it.
Before you ever open your mouth, the conversation has already begun inside your head. If your thoughts are filled with fear, "I'll embarrass myself, I'll run out of things to say, people will judge me," then no technique in the world will help, because the inner battle is already lost. That's why the second step in mastering small talk is preparing your mindset, shifting from dread to confidence, from pressure to possibility. The truth is, small talk is not a test of intelligence, it is not an audition, and it is not a competition. It's simply a chance to connect. When you remind yourself of that, the pressure drops instantly. Start by addressing the anxiety. Research in psychology shows that much of our social fear comes from overestimating how harshly people judge us. In reality, most people are far too focused on themselves to analyze your every word. This is known as the spotlight effect, the illusion that a spotlight is shining on you and everyone notices your every flaw. In truth, people notice far less than you think, and they are usually rooting for you to succeed in conversation because your comfort makes them comfortable too. Knowing this gives you permission to relax. Another key mindset shift is moving from performance to presence. Too many introverts think they need to perform in conversation to be clever, witty, or impressive. But the truth is, presence matters far more than performance. People remember how you made them feel, not the exact words you used. If your thought before entering a conversation is, "I need to make this person feel seen and comfortable," you immediately lower the bar for yourself and increase your effectiveness. It's no longer about dazzling, it's about connecting. Practical exercises can help build this mindset. Before a social event, take a moment to breathe deeply and repeat affirmations like, "I am curious, not perfect. I can connect by listening. This is just practice, not a performance." These simple reminders rewire your brain to approach conversations as opportunities, not threats. Visualization is another powerful tool. Athletes do it before big games, and you can do it before big conversations. Close your eyes and picture yourself walking into a room, greeting someone with a smile, asking a simple question, and watching them respond positively. The brain responds to imagined experiences similarly to real ones, which means rehearsing success makes success more likely. And finally, remember this: Your value is not measured by the length of your sentences or the brilliance of your lines. Your value comes from authenticity. If you show up with genuine curiosity, honesty, and warmth, people will respond. Even short exchanges can feel powerful when they are real. Preparing your mindset is about calming the storm before you step into the room. It's about choosing thoughts that lift you rather than drag you down. Once your mind is steady, small talk no longer feels like an enemy. It feels like a doorway you are ready to walk through.
Every conversation begins with one moment of courage, the decision to break the silence. For introverts, this can feel like the hardest step of all. You're standing there thinking of 100 reasons not to speak. They'll think I'm awkward. I don't know what to say. I'll bother them. But here's the secret. Most people are relieved when someone else makes the first move. They're waiting for connection just as much as you are. And when you step forward, you make it easier for both of you. The first move doesn't have to be clever or profound. In fact, the simpler, the better. A genuine smile, a relaxed posture, and a simple opener like, "How's your day going?" Or, "This is a great event, isn't it?" is often all it takes. You're not expected to deliver a TED Talk in the first 10 seconds. You're simply signaling openness. Think of it like tapping the ball gently to start a rally in tennis. The goal isn't to win the match with one serve, it's to get the ball moving. Body language is your ally here. Studies show that up to 70% of communication is nonverbal, which means your posture, eye contact, and tone matter far more than your exact words. When you stand tall, relax your shoulders, and hold a warm expression, people feel invited to engage. Even if your words are ordinary, your presence tells them, "I'm approachable, I'm safe to talk to." Practice this in low-pressure settings. At the grocery store, make eye contact with the cashier and say, "How's your shift going today?" At the gym, nod to someone next to you and say, "This place is busy today, huh?" These tiny openings build confidence for bigger moments. Here's another powerful trick. Use your environment. Context provides endless material for natural openers. At a conference, you might say, "Have you heard this speaker before?" At a cafe, "The line's long today, isn't it?" At a wedding, "How do you know the bride and groom?" These are simple, but they work because they're situational, easy to respond to, and show you're tuned in. For introverts who fear rejection, here's a reframe. Most people want to talk. They're just as worried about awkwardness as you are. By making the first move, you're doing them a favor. Even if the conversation doesn't go far, you've created a spark of connection. And remember, starting small talk isn't about having the perfect line, it's about giving someone permission to respond. Making the first move is like pushing open a door that was already unlocked. It might feel heavy at first, but once you step through, you realize the space on the other side is welcoming. And the more often you do it, the lighter that door feels.
The first words you speak may open the door, but it's the impression you create in those first few seconds that determines whether the conversation takes root or fizzles out. For introverts, this can feel like extra pressure, but it doesn't need to be. The truth is, first impressions are less about perfection and more about authenticity. People aren't looking for flawless lines, they're looking for signals of warmth, safety, and genuine presence. Think about it. When you meet someone for the first time, you're not memorizing every word they say. Instead, you're reading their energy. Do they seem approachable? Do they seem interested in you? Do they make you feel comfortable? These subtle cues carry more weight than polished sentences. Research in psychology shows that first impressions are formed within the first 7 seconds of meeting someone. And while words matter, nonverbal communication, your posture, tone, and expression, matters even more. That's good news because it means you don't have to master a script. You simply need to show up with openness. Start with your body language. Relax your shoulders. Make eye contact, but don't stare. Keep your posture open rather than closed off. Arms uncrossed, facing the person rather than angled away. Pair this with a genuine smile. Smiling not only makes you appear more approachable, but it also relaxes your own body and reduces stress, making you feel more at ease.
These small adjustments send powerful signals. I'm open. I'm safe. I want to connect. Tone is just as important. Speak with warmth rather than rushing your words. You don't need to project like a stage actor. Just let your voice carry a calm, natural confidence. People remember tone long after they forget words. A simple, "nice to meet you," said with sincerity, creates far more impact than a rehearsed line delivered stiffly. Another key to building first impressions is focusing on the other person rather than yourself. Introverts often get stuck in their heads, worrying, "How am I coming across? Do I look awkward? Do I sound nervous?" The fastest way out of this spiral is to redirect your attention outward. Ask yourself, how can I make this person feel comfortable right now? That shift not only calms your nerves, it also makes the other person feel valued. Practical tools help here. One is the light compliment technique, noticing something genuine and mentioning it in a simple way. "That's a great color on you. I like your energy. This place has a nice vibe, doesn't it?" Compliments, when sincere and light, immediately create positivity. Another tool is shared observation. Comment on something you both see, hear, or experience. "The food smells amazing in here. That speaker really had a lot of energy." These small remarks are low pressure but effective because they invite the other person to agree, add, and continue the flow. The last piece is authenticity. Don't force yourself to pretend to be someone you're not. You don't need to fake extroversion or invent stories to be interesting. Authentic presence is more compelling than performance. If you're curious, show it. If you're thoughtful, let that come through in your listening. Introverts have a unique strength here. Their natural tendency to observe and reflect make them excellent at creating a safe, thoughtful atmosphere. Use that. Building first impressions isn't about trying harder, it's about simplifying. Relax your body. Use tone that feels warm. Redirect focus to the other person. Add a light compliment or observation. Stay authentic. With these simple shifts, you create a strong impression not by being the loudest in the room, but by being the most real. And real is what people remember.
If there's one area where introverts hold a natural advantage, it's listening. While extroverts may shine in energy and expression, introverts often excel at tuning in, observing, and absorbing details. In conversation, this is a hidden superpower. Why? Because people don't remember every clever phrase you say, but they always remember how deeply they felt heard. When someone truly listens, it's magnetic. It builds trust instantly, it makes people feel valued, and it turns even the most casual small talk into meaningful connection. Listening like a pro goes beyond just being quiet while the other person talks. It means engaging with them through your attention, your body language, and your responses. Psychologists call this active listening, and it has 3 parts: receiving, understanding, and responding. First, you receive. You give the speaker your focus without distraction. That means putting your phone away, making eye contact, and nodding occasionally. Second, you understand. You don't just let the words pass over you, you try to grasp the meaning, the emotion, the intent behind them. And third, you respond. Not by hijacking the story with your own, but by reflecting back what you've heard, asking thoughtful questions, or offering short, supportive comments. Introverts thrive here because they naturally notice details others miss. You may pick up on a shift in tone, a glance, or an emotion hidden in the words. When you point it out gently, "It sounds like that was really meaningful for you," or "You must have felt proud when that happened." The other person feels seen in a way few people ever make them feel. That kind of response transforms a simple chat about their weekend into a moment of connection they won't forget. Here's a practical way to practice. Use the 70-30 rule. Aim to let the other person speak about 70% of the time while you take 30%. During your 30%, focus more on asking questions and reflecting back than on shifting to your own stories. This doesn't mean you never share. It means you share in a way that builds on what they've given you, not in a way that steals the spotlight. For example, if someone mentions a recent trip, instead of immediately jumping in with your own travel story, you could say, "That sounds amazing. What was the highlight for you?" That kind of question deepens the exchange rather than redirecting it. Listening also means being comfortable with pauses. Many introverts fear silence, but silence can be powerful. Instead of rushing to fill every gap, give space for the other person to think. Often, they'll reveal more after a short pause, and what they share will be deeper. Silence, when paired with warm presence, feels safe rather than awkward. And finally, remember that listening is not passive. It's one of the most active and generous things you can do in small talk. It shows respect, curiosity, and care. When you listen like a pro, you don't just survive small talk, you elevate it. You take it from shallow exchange to genuine connection. And in the end, that's what every conversation is really about.
Starting a conversation is one thing, but keeping it alive without those dreaded, awkward silences is another challenge altogether. Many introverts worry that once the initial exchange is over, they'll hit a wall and be left scrambling for words. But here's the truth. Conversation flow isn't about constantly thinking of new, brilliant topics. It's about creating a rhythm where both people feel comfortable adding, sharing, and exploring. And the secret is this flow comes more from how you engage than from what you say. The first tool is the art of follow-up questions. Instead of bouncing from one topic to another, go deeper into what the other person has already said. If someone mentions they went hiking last weekend, don't just say, "That's nice." Ask, "Where did you go? What did you enjoy most about it? Have you always liked hiking?" Each question gives them room to expand, and each answer provides new directions for the conversation. Follow-up questions show genuine interest, which is both flattering and engaging. People love to talk about themselves, not out of vanity, but because it feels good to be heard. The second tool is reflective statements. Instead of firing question after question like an interrogation, mix in reflections. If someone says, "I just started a new job," you could respond with, "That must be both exciting and a little overwhelming." Reflections show you're not only hearing their words, but feeling their experience. It keeps the flow natural, like tossing a ball back and forth, rather than throwing it repeatedly at the same speed. Storytelling is another powerful way to keep momentum. You don't need long, dramatic tales, just small, relatable stories that connect to the topic. If someone mentions travel, you might say, "I once had a layover that turned into a full adventure." Keep it short and engaging, then pass it back with a question. "Have you ever had a trip like that?" Stories give conversations texture, and questions keep them moving. Transitions are important too. Sometimes a topic naturally runs its course, and that's okay. Instead of letting it die awkwardly, you can use smooth bridges. For example, "Speaking of that, it reminds me," or "That's similar to something I experienced," or simply, "By the way, have you ever?" These transitions signal a gentle shift while keeping energy alive. And don't fear pauses. Many introverts see silence as failure, but short pauses are natural in human rhythm. Instead of panicking, smile, breathe, and allow the pause to be space. Often, the other person will pick it up, or you'll find a new direction together. Flow isn't about endless chatter. It's about comfort in the ebb and flow of words. When you practice these tools, follow-ups, reflections, short stories, smooth transitions, and embracing pauses, small talk stops feeling like a fragile balloon you're afraid to pop and starts feeling like a steady current you can guide with ease. Conversations aren't just about words. They're about signals. Every gesture, glance, and tone carries meaning, and learning to read those signals is one of the most powerful ways to feel confident in small talk. For introverts, this is a natural advantage. You may not realize it, but your tendency to observe, to notice details others miss, is exactly what makes you good at sensing people's moods and adjusting accordingly. Reading people doesn't mean analyzing them like a detective. It means tuning into the rhythm of human interaction so you can meet people where they are. Start with body language. When someone leans in, maintains open posture, and holds eye contact, they're engaged. When they cross their arms, look away often, or step back, they may be distracted or uncomfortable. These signals aren't judgments of you,
They're simply data. Use them to guide your approach. If someone looks tired or withdrawn, keep things light and simple. If they're animated and smiling, match their energy with a little more enthusiasm. This isn't faking, it's empathy in action, adjusting your tone to make the other person feel at ease. Tone of voice is just as important. Listen for shifts in pace, volume, or pitch. A slower, softer tone may mean they're reflective, while a quick, lively tone suggests excitement. Matching tone subtly builds rapport. For example, if someone speaks calmly and deliberately, and you respond in a rushed, loud manner, the mismatch creates friction. But if you slow your pace to meet theirs, the conversation feels smoother. This is called mirroring, and it's a powerful tool in building trust. Another cue to read is eye contact. Steady but not staring eye contact communicates interest. If someone glances away often, it might mean they're nervous, or it might mean they're distracted. Don't take it personally. Instead, adjust by giving them space, keeping your presence warm but not demanding. Reading people also means listening for subtext. When someone says, "It's been a busy week," they may be signaling stress, pride, or even a desire to share more. Your job is to pick up on the emotional layer and respond in a way that invites them to go deeper if they want. Sounds like you've had a lot going on. How are you feeling about it? That one question can turn a throwaway comment into a moment of connection. And here's the most important part. Know when to talk and when to pause. Great conversationalists don't dominate, they attune. If the other person is leaning forward, giving long answers, and asking you questions, keep the energy going. If their answers shrink, their body closes off, or they stop asking back, it may be time to ease out or shift topics. Reading people is about empathy, awareness, and flexibility. It gives you a compass in conversation, so you're not blindly guessing what to say next. When you trust your natural ability to observe and respond, small talk stops feeling like a battlefield and starts feeling like a dance, one you already know the steps to.
No matter how skilled you become, every conversation will eventually face a stumble. The silence stretches longer than you'd like, a joke doesn't land, or you say something you instantly wish you could take back. For introverts, these moments can feel like disaster, proof that you don't belong in the social world. But here's the truth. Awkward moments are universal. Everyone experiences them. The difference between those who connect easily and those who freeze isn't whether awkwardness happens, but how they handle it. The key is reframing awkwardness not as failure, but as part of the natural rhythm of human interaction. First, let's tackle silence. Many introverts dread it, interpreting it as judgment or rejection. But short pauses are not a sign that you've ruined the conversation. They're simply gaps where both people are thinking. Instead of panicking, smile, take a breath, and allow the moment to exist. Often, the other person will pick up the thread, and if not, you can use the pause as an opportunity to pivot. That reminds me, or, by the way, have you ever? Pauses become awkward only when you treat them as awkward. If you treat them as natural, they pass smoothly. Second, what about mistakes? Saying something clumsy or offbeat? The best strategy is to own it lightly and move on. Humor is powerful here. If you fumble a word, you can laugh at yourself. Well, that came out wrong. What I meant was, this shows confidence, not weakness. People appreciate honesty more than forced smoothness. By acknowledging the slip casually, you show that you're comfortable in your own skin, which actually builds trust. Third, let's address mismatched energy. Maybe you make a lighthearted comment and the other person doesn't respond. Or maybe you share a detail and they don't seem interested. Instead of spiraling into self-blame, recognize that not every remark will land, and that's normal. Redirect gently by asking them something about themselves. Anyway, how about you? Or, what's been keeping you busy lately? This shifts focus and keeps the momentum alive. Finally,
Here's the most liberating truth. Awkwardness often feels much bigger to you than it does to the other person. Psychologists call this the illusion of transparency, the belief that others can see our embarrassment as clearly as we feel it. In reality, most people barely notice, and if they do, they quickly forget. What they remember is whether you kept going with grace. Handling awkward moments with calm, humor, or redirection turns what could have been a derailment into proof of your resilience. And when you realize that awkwardness doesn't end the conversation, it loses its power over you. Instead of fearing it, you start to see it as just another step in the dance of connection. Small talk is the spark, but the real goal is to build something lasting from it. Trust, understanding, maybe even friendship. For introverts, this is where your strength shines brightest. You may not love endless chatter, but you excel at depth, at noticing patterns, at drawing meaning from small details. Once you've warmed up the conversation, the next step is guiding it gently into deeper territory, where real connection grows. The first tool is the power of open-ended questions. Instead of sticking to yes or no inquiries like, "Did you have a good weekend?" ask, "What was the highlight of your weekend?" This invites a story rather than a single word. Or instead of, "Do you like your job?" try, "What do you enjoy most about what you do?" These kinds of questions show curiosity and create space for more thoughtful answers, which naturally deepen the exchange. The second tool is vulnerability. Many introverts fear opening up, thinking it makes them look weak, but vulnerability is actually the foundation of trust. When you share something small but personal, "I always get nervous at events like this," or "I've been trying to read more lately, but it's been a challenge," you signal authenticity. This often encourages the other person to share as well, creating mutual honesty. Vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing your deepest secrets. It means letting people see the human side of you. The third tool is empathy. When someone shares something meaningful, resist the urge to immediately compare it to your own experience. Instead, sit with their story. If they tell you about a challenge at work, respond with, "That sounds tough. How are you handling it?" This shows you value their experience as unique, not just a springboard for your own. Empathy transforms conversations from transactional to relational. Shared experiences also deepen bonds. If you discover common ground, a favorite hobby, a similar challenge, a shared interest, lean into it. Say, "I love that too. What got you into it?" Or, "I've dealt with something similar. How did you approach it?" Common ground gives you both comfort and momentum, pulling the conversation into more meaningful waters. And remember, deepening connection doesn't always mean talking more. Sometimes it means pausing to truly listen, to let the weight of what was said settle before responding. That quiet space communicates respect and gives depth to the moment. When you guide conversations toward openness, vulnerability, empathy, and common ground, you take them beyond the surface. Small talk becomes big connection. And as an introvert, this is where you thrive.
By now, you've seen that small talk isn't meaningless, it isn't fake, and it isn't something only extroverts can do well. It's a skill, and like any skill, it grows with practice. The final piece of this journey is learning to apply it everywhere, because small talk shows up in every corner of life. At work, it greases the wheels of collaboration. At networking events, it opens doors to opportunity. On dates, it builds comfort before intimacy. At social gatherings, it turns strangers into acquaintances and acquaintances into friends. The good news is, the same principles you've been practicing apply in each of these settings. They just take slightly different shapes. At work, small talk is often the foundation of trust. Before a big project meeting begins, a casual chat about the weekend or a compliment on someone's work sets a positive tone. These moments may feel small, but they build rapport that makes teamwork smoother. A quick, "How's your morning going?" before diving into tasks tells your colleague that you see them as a person, not just a role. Over time, those little touches of humanity create stronger bonds, and stronger bonds lead to better collaboration. In networking, small talk is the bridge to opportunity. You don't walk up to someone and pitch your resume. You start with connection. What brought you to this event? How do you know the host? These openers ease tension, and once trust is built, conversations naturally shift to work, projects, and possibilities. Remember, networking isn't about collecting contacts. It's about creating relationships. And relationships begin with simple conversations. On dates, small talk builds comfort. You can't begin with deep questions about life goals. That comes later. You begin with light, easy exchanges. How was your week? What's the best thing you've eaten lately? These questions sound casual, but they serve a deeper purpose, creating a safe space. When the other person feels at ease, deeper topics flow naturally. For introverts, this is a gift, because your genuine curiosity and listening skills make others feel valued quickly. At social gatherings, small talk helps you navigate groups. Walking into a room full of strangers can feel overwhelming, but remember, you don't have to win over everyone. Start small. Approach one person with a comment about the setting. "This playlist is great, isn't it?" Or, "I can't believe how many people showed up." From there, conversations unfold. And once you're in, momentum builds. One conversation leads to another. The beauty of small talk is its universality. The same mindset shifts, the same skills, curiosity, openness, presence, listening, work everywhere. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you stop seeing small talk as an obstacle and start seeing it as a doorway, one you can walk through with confidence in any environment.
So here we are, at the end of this journey. You began with the fear, the hesitation, the inner voice that told you small talk was something to dread. But now, you can see it differently. Small talk isn't a meaningless ritual. It isn't a trap for introverts. It's a doorway, and you've been given the keys. You've learned how to reframe it, how to prepare your mindset, how to make the first move with confidence, and how to build strong impressions without pretending to be someone you're not. You've discovered that listening, something you already do so well, is your greatest strength, and that keeping the conversation flowing isn't about endless words, but about curiosity, follow-ups, and empathy. You've seen how reading people turns awkward guesswork into attunement, and how even silence or stumbles can become opportunities rather than disasters. You've learned that connection grows when you let yourself be genuine, when you're willing to go deeper, and when you carry these skills into every part of your life, at work, in networking, on dates, and at gatherings. And here's the most important truth. You don't need to transform into an extrovert. You don't need to memorize lines or force yourself to shine. What you need is already within you: presence, curiosity, authenticity, and the willingness to connect. Small talk doesn't erase your introversion. It works with it, helping you turn quiet strength into connection. Every smile, every nod, every simple "How's your day going?" is a step across the bridge. Every moment you choose to show up instead of shrinking back is practice. And practice compounds. Over time, the anxiety fades, the confidence builds, and what once felt terrifying becomes second nature. So take these tools and carry them into your life. Start small. A brief chat with a cashier, a quick comment to a coworker, a smile and a question at a gathering. Each moment is a rehearsal, and each rehearsal builds mastery. Small talk isn't about being impressive. It's about being present. And presence is something you already have. The world doesn't need you to be louder. It needs you to be real. It needs your curiosity, your empathy, your ability to listen and make others feel seen. That is the gift of the introvert, and when combined with these skills, it becomes unstoppable. So the next time you feel that surge of nerves, remember, it's not about perfection, it's about connection. Small talk is your doorway. Walk through it and watch what unfolds.